Inner strength doesn't reveal itself when life is simple or smooth. Its true face appears when you confront the things you once tried to avoid. If you often feel fragile on the inside, if your mind crumbles under pressure, this is exactly the guidance you need. Real strength isn't about wearing a tough exterior, it's about cultivating a solid, unshakable core even when no one is there to witness it. It lives within your daily patterns, your thinking, your discipline. The quiet work you do when no one's watching. This isn't about hype or vague motivation. You're going to learn how to construct formidable inner strength, step by step, with clear, actionable strategies. If you're tired of breaking down when situations don't favor you, if you desire control over your emotions and stability in your choices, then stay with this to the end. Because this is how people who lead themselves powerfully are built. Everything starts with a decision. Not tomorrow, not next month, right now. If you want unbreakable inner strength, you must claim full responsibility for your life. That means you stop assigning blame. You stop waiting for circumstances to improve on their own. You abandon the hope that somehow things will magically fix themselves without your active participation. Instead, you assume complete ownership of your decisions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and the outcomes that follow. It's incredibly easy to float along with life, to chase comfort, to avoid risk, and to justify your stagnation with excuses. But ease does not foster strength, it breeds regret. And regret carries a weight far heavier than any discipline or discomfort ever will. No one is coming to save you. No one else will live your life for you. And if you refuse to take control, others may step in and steer your life toward their own interests, not yours. Strength begins the moment you say to yourself, "This is my life, and I'm responsible for every part of it." That single decision changes everything. Because once you accept full responsibility, you reclaim your power. As long as you allow external factors, whether people, situations, or excuses, to hold your power, you will remain trapped. But the second you reclaim that authority, you begin to rise. Not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger. Taking control of your life doesn't mean obstacles vanish. It means you stop allowing those obstacles to dictate who you are or where you're headed. You stop saying, "I can't because of what happened to me." And you start declaring, "I will because I've chosen to." That simple but powerful shift transforms how you approach your day, how you respond to stress, and how you view yourself. Unfortunately, most people never make that shift. They wait endlessly. For motivation, for permission, for the right time, for approval from others. But the truth is, you don't need anyone's permission to live your life on your own terms. The responsibility is yours alone. You may not be able to control every circumstance, but you can always control your response. And every response you make either fortifies or weakens your inner strength. When you choose courage over fear, you grow. When you choose discipline over excuses, you grow. When you take even one step forward, especially when it's difficult, you grow stronger. Inner strength doesn't mean you never feel weak. It means you continue doing what's necessary even in moments of weakness. It's waking up exhausted but still showing up. It's feeling fear but taking action anyway. It's working relentlessly without expecting applause, because you're not doing it for attention, you're doing it for yourself. Taking control also means mastering your time. Time is your most precious resource. If you don't command it, it will vanish, and you won't get it back. Most people waste mornings, drift through afternoons, and wonder why they feel unsatisfied at night. If you want to build true strength, you must take back your hours and direct them wisely. Begin your day early. Eliminate distractions. Stop mindless scrolling and start meaningful building. Make decisions not based on fleeting feelings but on who you want to become. Feelings are temporary. Decisions build direction, and direction builds progress. And within that progress, your strength is formed. You cannot grow stronger while staying comfortable. Strength emerges from doing what's difficult, what stretches you, what challenges you. Most avoid hard things. That's why they stay stuck, soft, and unfulfilled. If you want real, lasting transformation, you must choose what's uncomfortable. Say no to habits that steal your energy. Say yes to actions that develop you. Remove the noise. Eliminate laziness. Reject blame. You have to stop lying to yourself too. Stop pretending you're satisfied with less than your full potential. You know deep down you crave growth, you crave pride in your efforts, you want to look in the mirror and honestly say, "I'm giving everything I have." You don't need a perfect plan. You simply need to start. Begin exactly where you are, with whatever resources you currently have. Don't convince yourself that you need more time, knowledge, or confidence before you act. That's fear disguised as logic. What you need is consistent action. Action creates momentum. Momentum builds belief. And belief fosters strength. Start today, not because it's easy, but because you're tired of waiting. Because you're done wondering what your life could look like if you finally took control. It won't happen by accident. It will happen because you chose it, because you made a firm decision that you've had enough of hesitation and stagnation. Don't expect others to understand. Most people won't. They are too busy avoiding responsibility themselves. You run towards it. You embrace the discomfort, the uncertainty, the difficulty, because that's where your growth hides. Once you start, you'll realize your limits were never real. You were simply waiting for permission to stop playing small. Now give yourself that permission. Give yourself that power. Once you do, your habits will shift, your mindset will evolve, your energy will transform. The people around you will feel it, not because you're telling them, but because your life will speak loudly through your actions. And most importantly, never stop. Once you reclaim control, keep moving forward. Keep showing up. Keep doing what strengthens you even when it's tedious, even when no one notices, even when every part of you wants to rest. Because that's how unshakable strength is built. Quietly. Relentlessly. Daily. If you want discipline, stop chasing ease. Comfort doesn't forge strength, it erodes it. Every time you pick the easy path, you steal from your own future. You rob yourself of the resilience, the grit, and the power you could have built. The individuals who grow, who succeed, who become leaders of their own lives, they live far from the comfort zone. They deliberately train themselves to do what's hard, what's inconvenient, what's uncomfortable, and they do it every single day. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's not a talent. It's a skill that gets crafted through consistent, intentional choices. You cultivate discipline when you rise early, even though your body pleads for more rest. You build it when you hit the gym, even though your mind whispers you could skip today. You strengthen it when you follow through on your plan, even as temptation tries to pull you back to old patterns. Every time you face that moment of hesitation, that pause where you consider quitting or delaying, that's your training ground. That is the exact place where discipline is formed. And you must step forward, not once, not twice, but continuously. Day after day. Repetition is the teacher. Routine is the builder. Feelings will always betray you. They'll seduce you into staying comfortable, sleeping longer, wasting time, indulging in distraction. If you allow feelings to control your actions, you will lose. The people who master their lives don't act based on fleeting emotions. They act based on their standards. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Discipline is the answer to that question. It lives in discomfort. True growth doesn't happen when things are easy. Growth ignites when everything becomes hard, and you push through anyway. That's where most people quit. That's where most people crumble. But you keep going. You choose to stay disciplined not because it's fun, but because you know what's required to build the life you desire. Every uncomfortable decision you embrace trains your mind to rise above emotion. It proves to yourself that you can be trusted to stay committed to your own vision. That builds confidence. That shapes character. Excuses, however, will destroy discipline faster than anything else. That small, persuasive voice will constantly offer you an out. I'll start tomorrow. Today doesn't matter that much. I've done enough already. Those are the seeds of failure. If you allow them to take root, they will consume your momentum. You silence that voice by acting anyway. You don't wait for inspiration. You begin. And once you begin, you don't stop. Not when you're tired, not when you're frustrated, not when you're unmotivated. Especially not then. That's when your discipline is truly tested. The secret isn't motivation. It's consistency. It's showing up when you least feel like it. It's the quiet, repetitive grind that nobody sees. It's boring, unglamorous, but unshakably powerful. That's why most people won't do it. They'd rather choose comfort over progress. That's exactly why discipline is so rare, and why it holds such value. If you want to break free from feeling stuck, build discipline. Discipline is not hype. It's not passion. It's relentless action, repeated daily, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's what makes the difference. You won't always enjoy the process. There will be days when you want to give up, when your mind will scream that it's pointless. But you'll persist anyway. You'll stay focused. You'll honor your commitments not because they're enjoyable, but because you gave yourself a promise, and you intend to keep it. That's how you learn to trust yourself. That's how you build real self-belief, not from reading books or watching videos, but from executing, every single day. Start small if you need to. Wake up earlier by just 15 minutes. Cut one toxic habit. Create a simple schedule and honor it. Push yourself in one area today. That one push becomes momentum. Momentum fuels strength. The hardest part is beginning. But once you do, protect the streak. Don't break the chain. Don't let missed days turn into missed weeks. Don't give yourself the option to delay. If you do, you're surrendering your power to emotion once again. Discipline delivers freedom. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from regret. Freedom from living weak. Every time you choose the difficult path, you grow stronger. You don't need extreme measures. You need consistency. Non-negotiable consistency. Whether you feel like it or not. Whether you're tired or not. Whether conditions are perfect or not. You show up. You give your best. Discipline isn't perfection, it's commitment. Nobody will force you to transform. Nobody will check on you daily. This is your responsibility. You lead yourself. You must become the person who declares, I refuse to live beneath my potential, and then backs it up with relentless work, sharp focus, and habits that continuously challenge your limits. Eventually, the struggles that once felt overwhelming will no longer hold power over you. Rising early won't feel like a battle. Staying on task won't drain you. Because discipline has become a part of who you are, trained, earned, permanent. As your consistency grows, so will your self-respect. Your energy will shift. You'll look yourself in the mirror, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you've been showing up. You know you've been putting in the work. And that pride will be worth far more than any comfort you left behind. Every single day, choose to do something that challenges you. Something that sharpens you. Something that reminds your mind who's in command. If you don't, life will keep handing you the same mediocrity, the same frustration, the same cycle of regret. You're here to break that cycle. You're here to grow. This isn't about being extreme. It's about being consistent. You don't need more motivation. You need to move, today. Push yourself into discomfort. Do it again tomorrow. And the next day. If you're serious about building real strength within, you must reclaim your focus. Distractions are your enemy. Every moment your attention drifts toward things that don't matter, you lose a piece of your potential. The world is designed to pull you in 1,000 directions. Notifications buzz. Screens glow. Messages demand instant replies. And while all of this seems harmless, it's slowly bleeding away your ability to concentrate, to build, to grow. The truth is harsh. It's not a sudden collapse. You don't wake up weak one morning. Weakness leaks into your life silently, through minutes wasted scrolling, unfinished tasks, and meaningless busyness. Each distraction feels small, insignificant, but over time, they dismantle your ability to focus. Your confidence fades, your productivity drops, and you begin to feel stuck, trapped by a life you're only half present in. Half effort leads to half results. Half attention builds nothing worthwhile. If you want to grow, you must ruthlessly eliminate what steals your focus. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every text, not every call, not every notification is urgent. You need to design your life in a way that guards your mind, your time, and your energy like precious currency, because that's exactly what they are. Distractions are engineered to manipulate you. They don't just pull your focus, they create addiction. They give you a hit of dopamine, making you feel busy without ever moving you forward. If you're not vigilant, you'll fall into the trap of constant reaction, constantly switching from one thing to the next without truly accomplishing anything meaningful. You cannot hope your way into focus. You must build focus deliberately. You must craft your environment so that focus is natural, not a struggle. Clean up the clutter around you. Remove temptations before they pull you in. When it's time to work, shut off the distractions. Put your phone in another room. Block out the noise. Set your space up for success before you sit down to build. Then, simplify. Clarify your priorities. You don't need 10 goals. You need 1 or 2 critical objectives that genuinely move your life forward. Give those few things your best energy, your sharpest thinking. Focused effort beats scattered busyness every single time. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters better. Don't confuse being busy with being productive. Many people are busy all day long, yet nothing meaningful ever gets done. They bounce from task to task, answering every message, reacting to every email, convincing themselves they're working. But that's not focus. That's noise. That's survival, not growth. Nothing great is built with divided attention. The people who achieve meaningful success, who build true strength, are those who train themselves to lock in. They master deep work. They concentrate on one thing at a time, fully immersed, fully present, without breaking concentration every 5 minutes. This is a skill, a muscle you must train. Start small. Commit to short, focused periods of work. 1 task. No distractions. Set a timer if you must. Then extend your focus as you improve. Expect resistance. Your mind will wander at first. That's normal. But each time you pull your attention back, you grow stronger. Each time you complete what you start, you prove to yourself that you are in control. Most people can't focus for more than a few minutes without breaking. That's not because they're weak, it's because they've allowed distraction to own them. A scattered mind creates scattered results. A focused mind creates power. This isn't optional if you want inner strength. This is required. Master your attention, and you master yourself. Begin to observe your distractions honestly. What pulls you away? Is it your phone? Your constant need to check messages? Your habit of switching tasks? Identify your leaks, because each one drains your strength. And once you identify them, eliminate them. Build routines that protect your focus. Establish a daily schedule. Block out specific hours for deep work. Set clear boundaries for yourself and for others. Communicate when you are unavailable. Protect the time you set aside for your own development like it's sacred. Because it is. This isn't about being rude. This is about being effective. This is about showing up to your own life with clarity and intention. Strong people don't chase every opportunity. They don't entertain every distraction. They choose deliberately. They say no often. They guard their time fiercely. Don't wait for the perfect circumstances to start focusing. Begin now. Even if you stumble. Even if you get distracted halfway through. The sooner you train this muscle, the sooner you reclaim control over your mind. The longer you allow distraction to control you, the deeper the habit becomes. But the sooner you choose intention, the sooner your clarity returns. The sooner you start stacking days of focused effort, the more powerful you become. Suddenly, you're not scattered anymore. You feel sharp. You feel in control. You know what you're building. This focus doesn't stay limited to your work. It seeps into every area of your life: how you speak, how you plan, how you lead. People will notice it. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll move through your day with steady energy because your mind is no longer exhausted from constantly switching gears. When you master focus, you develop a rare kind of edge. Not because you're smarter than others, but because you're serious. Because you value your life enough not to waste it on distractions. The world will always offer you noise. The world will always tempt you to scatter your attention. But you choose differently. You choose discipline. You choose clarity. You choose to build. Focus isn't something you wish for. It's something you train. And as you train it, you develop not only sharper results, but a sharper mind. A strong mind. A mind that becomes unshakable in the face of pressure, noise, and chaos. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is part of your training. It arrives not as a mistake, or as a sign you've failed, but as the very process required to build you. You do not develop strength by sidestepping suffering. You do not become powerful by avoiding discomfort. You grow stronger by walking directly through it, by standing in the fire without searching for the nearest exit. This is where most people fail. The moment pain appears, they retreat. They run. They hide. They search for distractions, for relief, for any escape that offers even a brief moment of comfort. But comfort doesn't build strength. Escape doesn't forge resilience. Short-term relief always trades long-term power. The strong don't seek to numb pain, they endure it. They feel it. They let it burn. And still, they move forward. Not because it feels good, but because their decision to persist has already been made. Quitting is no longer an option. They've chosen growth over comfort. You don't need to flee every time hardship arises. You don't need to shut down every time you feel pressure. What you need is to breathe, to remain steady, and to take the next small step. Pain will arrive in many forms: grief, rejection, failure, exhaustion, fear. And each time it does, you have an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are far stronger than you imagined. You don't become powerful by skipping the hard chapters. You become powerful by surviving them, by learning within them, by growing through them. Strength is not forged on your best days. It is forged in your hardest moments, the days when nothing works, when you want to give up, but you keep going anyway. When pain visits you, don't hide behind excuses. Don't pretend it's not there. Don't distract yourself to avoid facing it. Sit with it. Face it. Ask what it's here to teach you. Because every struggle holds a lesson. Every setback offers growth. But you only receive those lessons when you stop running and start confronting. A quiet confidence grows when you endure suffering without breaking. This confidence isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. But it becomes unshakable, rooted deep inside you. It becomes a calm power that few ever develop because most people never allow themselves to go that deep. They spend their lives running. They live behind masks of distraction. But not you. You stand in it. You carry your weight. You walk your path. Even when your legs shake. Even when your heart doubts. You still walk. There will be days when the weight feels too heavy. Days when you want to collapse. Days when your emotions scream that this is too much. But that doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. What makes you strong is that you don't allow those emotions to control your decisions. Pain will lie to you. It will try to convince you that you're not built for this, that you should stop, that it's safer to give up. Do not believe those lies. Move forward anyway. Take one more step. Push for one more rep. Finish one more day. This is how you win, not by avoiding pain, but by outlasting it. Whether it's physical, emotional, or mental, your response remains the same: stay in the fight. Hold your ground. Protect your habits. Stick to your standards. Do not surrender your discipline to the need for quick comfort. That's where weakness takes hold. The moment you run from pain, it chases you. The moment you face pain, it loses its grip. Over time, you change. You stop fearing difficulty. You stop shrinking from challenge. You stop needing life to be easy. You develop steadiness. You develop presence. People will notice. They'll see it in your eyes, in your posture, in how you handle crisis without breaking down. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who have avoided suffering. They're the ones who have walked through it and used it to forge strength. They transform struggle into power. They take every pressure and turn it into purpose. That's the kind of person you are capable of becoming. But you must stop looking for ways to escape discomfort. You must start welcoming the opportunity to build yourself through every challenge. Don't tell yourself that the presence of pain means you're on the wrong path. Tell yourself that pain means you are being shaped. Most people never reach their potential because they remain obsessed with how to feel good, instead of how to grow strong. You're here to grow. You're here to evolve. You're here to become unshakable. Strength isn't about being fearless. It's about standing in fear, in pain, and doing the work anyway. It's about facing the storm and choosing not to quit, not today, not ever. Every time you do this, you build a deeper level of resilience that no outside force can break. True power doesn't come from a life without problems. True power is earned by becoming the kind of person who can walk through anything, who can carry their weight with calm, steady resolve, even when the world crumbles around them. So stop running. Stop numbing. Stop escaping. Let the pain come. Let it burn. Let it transform you. And then use it. Use it to sharpen your focus. Use it to deepen your discipline. Use it to make you stronger than you've ever been. Use it to build the inner strength that nothing can shake. Because strength that's built under pressure, through pain, is the kind that endures. That's how you become the person you were meant to be. Stress will always be a part of life. It shows up at work, in your relationships, in your obligations, and sometimes it appears without any clear reason at all. The issue isn't the existence of stress. The problem lies in how you react to it. If your mind collapses every time something goes wrong, you will live trapped in constant turmoil. But if you discipline your mind to remain steady under pressure, you become dangerous, in the best way possible. You become focused, clear, composed, and in control. Calm is not something that arrives by luck. It is not something you feel naturally when everything goes well. Calm is a skill, one you must train like a muscle. You don't train it when life is simple, you train it when life gets hard. Anyone can feel composed when life is smooth. But true strength is demonstrated when everything around you begins to unravel, and you still move forward without panic. That's the test. That's where real power emerges. Life won't stop challenging you. Deadlines will press down on you. People won't always treat you fairly. Situations won't always align in your favor. But none of that can control you, unless you allow it. You don't react. You respond. You stay grounded, even when life feels chaotic. You maintain composure, not because life is easy, but because you've trained for these exact moments. Training starts with self-awareness. Begin observing how your mind responds to pressure. Do you panic? Do you freeze? Do you lash out? Whatever your automatic reaction is, you can change it, but only if you see it clearly. You must catch yourself in the act. Watch yourself like a coach studies their athlete. The moment you sense stress rising, stop. Breathe. Slow your response. Most of the damage caused by stress doesn't come from the stress itself. It comes from reacting too quickly, from losing control in those first few seconds. You don't need to solve every problem in one instant. You simply need to remain steady in this moment, right now. That's what calm is. It's not the absence of challenges, but the refusal to let challenges dictate your decisions. It's holding your clarity when your mind wants to spiral out of control. It's focusing on the facts, not the emotional stories your mind creates. You train this skill daily. You practice in small moments. Waiting in traffic without frustration, listening carefully instead of interrupting, breathing deeply when minor annoyances arise. These small victories build your capacity for composure during bigger storms. Don't expect perfection. There will be days you fail. You will lose your temper, feel overwhelmed, react poorly. That doesn't make you weak, It makes you human. What matters is that you come back. That you keep training. That you stay committed to strengthening your control, no matter how many times you stumble. Calm doesn't come from motivation, it comes from structure. It requires systems, not feelings. Begin your day with intention. Carve out quiet time to center your mind before the world invades your focus. Protect your peace as fiercely as you would your most valuable asset. Most people live in a constant state of mental overload. Not because life is too busy, but because they never allow their minds to rest. Every empty moment gets filled with noise, scrolling, notifications, mindless entertainment. The brain never breathes. The soul never quiets. If you want to master calm, start subtracting. Remove what pulls your attention in 100 directions. Simplify your commitments. Say no to things that drain you. Walk away from conversations that add nothing to your life. Declutter your schedule. Declutter your mind. Calm isn't just built through silence or meditation, it's built through your daily choices. If your life is built on chaos, you will feel chaotic. If you organize your life with discipline, clarity becomes your baseline. When stress hits, you feel it physically, your breath quickens, your chest tightens, your thoughts race. Let that be your cue to reset. Breathe deeply. Slow down. Return to what is real. Separate facts from fears. Most of your anxiety comes from imaginary futures, from playing out worst-case scenarios that don't even exist yet. Stop feeding those stories. Stop giving your imagination fuel to ignite panic. You don't need to solve the entire problem immediately. You simply need to remain steady enough to take the next step, then the next. One clear step at a time will move you forward far faster than panic ever could. The way you speak to yourself matters. Many people amplify their stress through their internal dialogue. They tell themselves, "I can't handle this. This is too much. Everything is falling apart." Those words create more fear, more anxiety, more pressure. Change the conversation. Tell yourself, "I've handled hard things before. I can handle this too. One step at a time. Focus on what I can control right now." Your mind listens to your voice. If you feed it panic, it will multiply your fear. If you feed it calm, it will mirror your steadiness. Calm isn't weakness. Calm is power under control. It's clarity under pressure. It's strength expressed through composure. The strongest leaders aren't the loudest, they are the most composed. Their strength isn't displayed in emotional outbursts, but in quiet confidence. People feel it in the steadiness of their presence. Calm is rare, and anything rare becomes valuable. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel confident. But you can always choose to be calm. Not because you know how everything will turn out, but because panic has never solved a single problem. Stress will knock at your door often. You don't have to open it. And if it gets in, you don't have to let it take over. You can reset. You can breathe. You can take control again. This is your mind. Don't surrender it to pressure. Don't hand it over to fear. Stand your ground. Choose stillness when chaos tries to invade. Choose focus when your thoughts want to scatter. Choose calm, especially when everything inside you wants to react emotionally. Over time, this becomes who you are. You don't just stay calm, you become calm. You don't need ideal circumstances to stay steady. You become steady regardless of circumstances. That's how you train your mind to remain unshakable. That's how you continue building immense inner strength. When calm becomes your default, no challenge can pull you off your path. You move forward with clarity. You act with precision. You live with peace. That is real power. The hardest and most critical conversations you'll ever have are the ones you hold with yourself. Not the comforting words you say to ease your guilt. Not the hollow affirmations you use to pretend everything is fine. But the brutal honesty, the raw, uncomfortable truth that forces you to confront your reality. That is where true inner strength begins. Most people run from this kind of honesty. They avoid it. They build lives filled with distractions, lies, and soft comforts to protect themselves from facing their own weaknesses. But if you want real growth, if you want to develop unshakable inner strength, you must be brutally honest with yourself. You must stop hiding behind delusions and start telling yourself the truth you don't want to hear. Nobody knows your shortcuts like you do. Nobody hears the excuses you make in your head. Nobody sees your hesitation when it's time to act. Nobody witnesses your private moments of weakness. That makes you the only person who can hold yourself accountable. Because most people around you won't. Not because they wish you harm, but because they fear offending you. They'll let you slide. They'll let you make excuses. They'll allow you to stay small, because challenging someone is uncomfortable. But you must challenge yourself. You must look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I living the life I say I want? Am I doing the work I promise myself I'd do? If the answer is no, don't cover it up. Don't justify it. Don't delay facing it. Own it. Speak it out loud. I'm falling short. I'm avoiding the hard work. I'm lying to myself. That honesty will sting. It's supposed to. But that sting is what wakes you up. That sting creates clarity. That sting pulls you out of denial and exposes exactly what must change. The truth has power. It cuts through confusion and removes the fog. Most people stay weak because they avoid this discomfort. They hide inside their justifications, telling themselves comforting stories. It's not my fault. I'm doing my best. I'll fix it later. But those stories keep you trapped. They rob you of the growth you desperately need. If you're willing to face your flaws, you begin to break the patterns holding you back. You start seeing your actions for what they are, not what you wish they were. You catch yourself saying, I say I'm disciplined, but my actions don't prove it. I say I want success, but I keep choosing convenience. These are not easy things to admit. But once you do, you reclaim control. The illusion breaks. What remains is pure clarity. And clarity brings direction. You don't need someone else to call you out. You call yourself out. You lead yourself. You sit down, you assess your reality, and you declare, this is my responsibility. No one else will fix this for me. That is the turning point. The moment you stop waiting for external motivation, and instead take full ownership of your path. That's when everything changes. Because now you move from a place of power, not victimhood. Speaking truth to yourself builds trust, not just with others, but within yourself. You begin to respect your own word. You stop second-guessing. You stop making excuses. You stop lying. You stop drifting. You align your actions with your values. And that alignment gives you peace, not the false peace of comfort, but the deep peace that comes from knowing you're doing what's right, even when it's hard. Honesty isn't self-hatred. It's not cruelty. It's not about tearing yourself down. It's about lifting yourself up through clarity. It's about stripping away the nonsense and getting face to face with who you are and who you must become. You must be able to look yourself in the eye and say, I can do better. And I will. Every time you avoid the truth, you surrender your power. You begin living based on emotion, not facts. And emotions are unreliable. But truth, spoken with courage, always points you forward. The truth simplifies life. It eliminates confusion. It demands responsibility. It stops you from pretending you're making progress when you're really standing still. You are your own coach. Your own accountability partner. Your own leader. Because you spend more time with yourself than anyone else ever will. And if you don't lead yourself with honesty, no one else will do it for you. Make truth-telling a daily habit. Every evening, check in with yourself. Did I honor my standards today? Did I follow through on my promises? Did I waste time or use it well? If the answer is no, don't wallow. Don't spiral into guilt. Simply acknowledge it and recommit to doing better tomorrow. And when you do succeed, when you show up, when you follow through, acknowledge that too. Celebrate that progress. You need both sides, brutal honesty when you fall short, and honest recognition when you succeed. That balance keeps you grounded. The more truth you speak to yourself, the less external validation you need. You stop needing applause. You stop needing people to approve. You no longer pretend. You live fully aligned with reality. That's real strength, not flashy, not loud, just real. Most people deceive themselves every single day. They say they want change but avoid the actions required to create it. They say they're committed but slip back into old comforts at the first sign of resistance. That's not how you want to live. You're here to build something real. Something honest. Something powerful. And it starts inside. Take an honest inventory. Look at your life. Look at your habits. Look at your patterns. Ask the hard questions. Speak the truth no one else will dare say to you, not to shame yourself, but to elevate yourself. Because the person who tells themselves the truth, even when it's painful, becomes the person who cannot be broken by external circumstances. They no longer wait for someone else to challenge them. They challenge themselves every single day. That's how you become unbreakable. That's how you build immense inner strength. If you truly desire unshakable inner strength, you must turn your attention to your habits. Your habits form the foundation of your life. They are the structure that either builds you up or breaks you down, one small choice at a time. The life you live today is the sum of the actions you've repeated, consciously or unconsciously. If your habits are weak, your life will reflect that weakness, no matter how much potential you carry. Potential means nothing without the discipline to execute. You can have ambition. You can have intelligence. You can even have talent. But if you feed your life with poor habits, you'll live in a cycle of frustration and underperformance. That's why so many people with great promise remain stagnant. They never take full ownership of their daily patterns. Bad habits are insidious. They don't announce themselves loudly. They sneak in quietly, disguised as small indulgences. Skipping one workout, sleeping in just a little longer, putting off tasks until tomorrow, picking up your phone one more time. These seemingly harmless choices accumulate, slowly draining your energy, stealing your time, weakening your focus, and eroding your confidence. By the time you finally recognize how much damage these habits have done, they've already become your default operating system. They've quietly shaped your identity into someone you don't even recognize. But you are not fixed. You are not trapped. You are not locked into who you've been. You can change. But you must want it badly enough to confront what's not working. You must be ruthlessly honest about what needs to be broken and rebuilt. Ask yourself the hard questions. What habits are slowing me down? What patterns are robbing my progress? What routines drain more from me than they give? Is it wasted time online? Late nights that steal my energy? Mornings with no structure? Disorganized days that leave me scattered and reactive? Whatever it is, stop making excuses for it. Stop saying, "It's just who I am." That mindset traps you in stagnation. You are not your bad habits. You are what you choose to become. And you can choose differently. Breaking bad habits won't happen by accident. You must actively disrupt the patterns. You must make bad choices inconvenient and good choices effortless. If your phone is the problem, move it away when you need to focus. If your late nights are killing your mornings, establish a non-negotiable cutoff time and defend it as if your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. You cannot expect to experience new outcomes while living inside old patterns. Change requires sacrifice. Change requires discomfort. Change requires intentional, daily action. Eliminating bad habits is only half the battle. You must replace them with powerful routines that pull you toward your goals. Create a morning routine that sets your tone for the day. Build an evening routine that allows you to reset and recover. Build systems that protect you from yourself when your motivation is low. You cannot leave your progress up to how you feel in the moment. Feelings are fleeting. Systems are steady. Systems protect you when willpower fades. Systems preserve your momentum even on your worst days. Start simple. Wake up at the same time every morning. Hydrate immediately. Move your body. Write down your top priorities before distractions take over. These simple rituals may feel small, but when stacked consistently, they become momentum. Momentum becomes identity. Identity becomes strength. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That leads to burnout. Instead, target one habit at a time. Remove one destructive habit. Build one positive routine. Prove to yourself that you can follow through on small changes. Every victory, no matter how small, builds confidence. Every small win is proof that you're capable of more. Bad habits often surface when you're tired, bored, or unprepared. That's why preparation is key. Plan your meals. Schedule your work. Remove temptation from your environment. The less accessible your bad habits are, the easier they become to break. Don't rely on willpower alone. Design your life to support better choices. When you slip, and you will, don't fall into shame or despair. Don't allow one bad moment to erase your progress. What matters most is your ability to recover quickly. Weak people make one mistake and allow it to spiral into defeat. Strong people recognize the slip, correct it, and continue forward. They don't make failure personal. They learn. They adjust. They persist. True change isn't fueled by occasional bursts of motivation. It's built on structure. It's built on the steady repetition of small actions done daily, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency is the only path to permanent transformation. Your routines shape your identity. If you begin your days carelessly, you train yourself to operate without discipline. But if you command your mornings with intention, that standard follows you into everything else. You are always reinforcing one identity or the other, the version of you who leads or the version of you who reacts. Don't wait until life forces you to change. Don't wait for a crisis to push you into action. Make the choice now, while you still have control. Choose growth before pain demands it. Each day offers you a fresh opportunity to break the cycle and step into a new version of yourself. Every moment holds the chance to either strengthen or weaken you. Your future isn't determined by luck. It's determined by these daily decisions. Stop saying, someday. Replace it with, right now. Your transformation does not begin next year, next month, or even next week. It begins with the decisions you make today. Break the habits that have been holding you back. Build the routines that will carry you forward. Do it with urgency. Do it with full commitment. Do it without hesitation. This is how you construct a foundation capable of withstanding anything life throws your way. This is how you shift from drifting aimlessly to leading with intention. This is how you evolve from feeling trapped to becoming unstoppable. It's not complicated. It's consistent. It's not easy. It's necessary. Show up for yourself. Build habits that serve you. Refuse to stop until your daily life reflects the strength you are building inside. There will be seasons in life when everything feels heavy. The weight of responsibility, the pressure of expectations, the volume of uncertainty, all pressing down on your shoulders at once. These moments don't break you. They define you. They reveal whether you've built strength or simply played at it when conditions were easy. Anyone can appear strong when life flows smoothly. But when pressure rises, when fear grows louder, when doubt fills your mind, your true foundation is exposed. This is where inner strength is either forged or exposed as an illusion. Fear always tries to shrink you. It speaks in the language of worst-case scenarios. It feeds your mind with visions of failure, of rejection, of loss. It urges you to retreat, to hide, to shrink your ambitions so you don't risk pain. And when fear combines with real-life pressure, financial stress, personal loss, betrayal, health issues, the temptation to give up becomes overwhelming. But understand this, those who rise aren't fearless. They simply refuse to let fear dictate their response. They feel the anxiety, they feel the weight, but they plant their feet anyway. They make the decision to hold their ground. The truth is, you don't need to eliminate fear to move forward. You need to stop allowing fear to control your choices. Fear can exist in your mind without owning your behavior. Pressure can exist in your life without controlling your direction. Pressure reveals your character. It exposes your patterns. When things aren't perfect, do you collapse emotionally? Do you freeze in panic? Or do you pause, breathe deeply, and continue forward with clarity? That's what strength looks like. Not perfection. Not the absence of fear. But calm, deliberate action in the middle of the storm. The people who develop this power practice courage every single day, not just in massive moments, but in small decisions. They don't avoid pressure. They lean into it. They understand that pressure is a signal. It means something important is at stake. It means growth is possible. It means life is inviting you to rise. Pressure doesn't exist when you're doing nothing. It only appears when you step into responsibility. It shows up when you pursue meaningful goals. So don't resent it. Don't run from it. Respect it. Use it as fuel. Meet pressure with preparation. Meet fear with discipline. Meet stress with strategy. You can't avoid life's storms, but you can prepare for them. You can anchor yourself so deeply that no external force can uproot you. Most people crumble because they live waiting for fear to leave before they act. But fear rarely leaves on its own. Waiting for fear to vanish is waiting for your life to pass you by. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's action taken despite it. Every time you move through fear, its grip loosens. Every time you take another step, your confidence strengthens. Sometimes pressure isn't sudden, it builds slowly, quietly. The slow accumulation of unsolved problems. The mounting responsibilities that wear you down over weeks, months, years. These moments test not your strength, but your endurance. Can you stay standing when results don't appear immediately? Can you remain committed when no one is clapping, when no one is watching? That is what standing firm means. Not being loud or dramatic, but consistent, quiet, focused, determined. Showing up even when the emotion is gone, even when motivation disappears. Steady effort, every single day. Standing firm doesn't mean you never feel weak. It means you never allow weakness to make your decisions. You show up with what you have, even if it's less than yesterday. You keep going. You refuse to retreat. Fear will attack in many forms: self-doubt, criticism, rejection, failure. But each appearance is another opportunity to prove that you will not collapse. That you will not surrender. Each time you face fear, you earn something far greater than temporary comfort. You build trust in yourself. You become proud, not because everything is perfect, but because you refuse to give up when quitting would have been easier. The strongest people you meet aren't those who never experience fear. They're the ones who've stood in its presence and acted anyway. That kind of strength cannot be faked. It cannot be bought. It is earned. Quietly. Privately. Repeatedly. And as you continue standing firm, something shifts inside you. You begin to recognize your own power. You no longer depend on conditions to feel strong. You become steady while others shake. You become solid while others crumble. This is how true strength is built, not by removing pressure, but by refusing to be broken by it. You rise. You lead. You push forward, not because the path is easy, but because you've made a decision. I will not give up simply because the path got heavy. Keep your mind clear. Keep your emotions grounded. Keep your feet planted. You don't need to know every solution right now. You simply need to take the next step. And then the next. Strength compounds quietly, one small act of courage at a time. This is how you become someone who can withstand anything, not by avoiding fear, but by walking straight through it. Not by avoiding pressure, but by standing your ground every single time it arrives. There will be days when you feel nothing, no energy, no drive, no spark, no inspiration. You'll wake up and feel hollow, like the fire that once pushed you forward has vanished completely. And this is when the true test begins. This is where most people stop. This is where they lose their momentum, because they believe they need to feel something before they can act. But real strength, real progress, does not belong to those who only move when they feel inspired. Progress belongs to those who move anyway. To those who continue without waiting for the right mood. To those who understand that feelings are unreliable, but action builds consistency. If you only move when you feel motivated, you will never build anything that lasts. Because motivation is temporary. It arrives in waves. It comes and goes without warning. The people who grow, who build, who transform, they don't depend on it. They depend on their commitment. You have to build the ability to act when nothing inside you wants to. You have to train yourself to take steps forward even when you feel empty, exhausted, or indifferent. Your emotions may resist, but your commitment must be stronger. Life has peaks and valleys. You cannot control that. What you control is whether you stay consistent when you're in the valleys. If you depend on good moods to take action, you'll waste most of your life waiting. This is where discipline lives, not in moments of excitement, but in the monotony of routine. In the quiet, uninspiring days when nobody is cheering for you. When nothing feels urgent, but you still move. When you don't see instant results, but you continue. Discipline isn't built when everything feels new and exciting. It's built when you continue the work despite boredom, fatigue, or emptiness. And the more you practice that discipline, the more unshakable you become. You stop needing perfect conditions. You stop needing external forces to push you. You lead yourself. The problem most people face is that they lose their motivation and believe something is wrong. They think the spark is supposed to carry them forever. But motivation was never meant to carry you. It was meant to start you. What sustains you is structure. What moves you forward is habit. What transforms you is relentless consistency, especially when motivation is gone. Those who wait for energy, for excitement, for inspiration, they fall behind. Those who act in the absence of those things build a level of mental strength that few will ever achieve. You must ask yourself, what do I do when I no longer feel driven? Do I stop? Or do I move anyway? Every time you act without motivation, you train yourself to operate on commitment, not emotion. That's when your discipline truly begins to harden. That's where the transformation happens. Some days you'll want to quit. Some days your mind will scream that none of it matters. On those days, you simplify the task. You don't need to do everything. You just need to take one step. One small action. One movement forward. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to happen. Because that one small action proves something powerful to your mind. I am still in control. Action first. Emotion follows. Once you begin moving, you'll often find that the energy returns. But you do not wait for the energy before you move. That's the trap. Waiting becomes the excuse. Waiting becomes paralysis disguised as planning. There is no perfect time. There is no ideal feeling. There is only the decision to move or not to move. Every day you hesitate, you delay your growth. Every day you act, even a little, you inch closer to your future. This is how strength is built, not through massive victories, but through small victories stacked daily. Quietly. Unapplauded. Don't allow your mood to control your habits. Build standards that remain steady regardless of how you feel. Commit to a level of action that doesn't waver when motivation fades. This is how you become dependable, first to yourself, then to others. You may not feel proud every day. You may not see major changes every day. But the days you show up without motivation are the days that matter most. They shape your identity. They prove your character. Because it's easy to stay consistent when everything feels exciting. The real edge is created when you stay consistent in the absence of excitement. That's where most people give up. That's where you will separate yourself. This isn't about motivation. This is about identity. This is about who you're becoming. This is about training your mind to operate independently of fleeting emotions. When you feel like quitting, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself of the price you'll pay if you stop. Remind yourself of the future you're sacrificing every time you choose an action. Every time you delay action, you delay progress. Every time you move forward without motivation, you grow stronger. Progress is rarely dramatic. It's not filled with fireworks. It's silent. It's steady. But if you keep showing up, if you keep stacking small victories, if you refuse to let your emotions dictate your actions, you will see results. Eventually, momentum takes over. And momentum is a powerful force. Momentum doesn't rely on moods. Momentum feeds on consistency. And once you have it, you carry yourself through difficult days with ease. Not because you're always inspired, but because you've built a machine that moves forward regardless of how you feel. Real strength is built not when you're inspired, but when you're empty and still move forward anyway. That's when your mind hardens. That's when you separate yourself from everyone who waits for the perfect moment. Stop waiting. Start moving. Create your own fire. Every single day presents you with a decision. Will you build or will you waste? The difference between those who rise and those who stay trapped isn't luck, talent, or opportunity, it's purpose. The ones who grow, who become unshakable, live each day with clear intention. They don't drift. They don't guess. They don't hope that direction will magically appear. They wake up and deliberately choose where to place their time, energy, and focus. You don't need to know your entire future. You don't need a flawless master plan. But you do need to stop living on autopilot. You need to stop handing your days over to random distractions, reactive habits, and meaningless busyness that leaves you feeling empty at the end of each night. Most people are constantly busy, but rarely intentional. They fill their schedules with tasks and distractions that look productive but carry no meaning. They confuse activity with progress. And at the end of the day, they wonder why nothing feels fulfilling. You cannot afford to live like this. You must wake up each day with a reason behind your actions, not just some distant dream, but a clear and immediate purpose that governs your choices today. Ask yourself the hard questions every morning. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What matters today? Who am I becoming by living this way? If your only answer is survival, you will never feel satisfied. You need something deeper. You need a mission that commands your energy, one that gives meaning to both the highs and lows of the journey. Your purpose doesn't have to be complicated or grandiose. It just has to be real. Maybe it's building a life your family can depend on. Maybe it's mastering your craft, growing your discipline, or becoming stronger than you've ever been. What matters is that it matters to you. When you move from purpose, you stop wasting energy on trivial things. You stop saying yes to distractions. You stop chasing everything that calls for your attention but gives nothing back. You become focused. And that focus compounds into power. Living with intention means deciding, in advance, how your day will unfold. You don't wait to react. You choose your actions deliberately. You recognize your time as the limited, non-renewable resource that it is. Every hour that passes is one you'll never get back. You cannot afford to casually give them away. That doesn't mean every moment must be hyper-productive. Rest is necessary. But even your rest must serve a purpose, to recharge, to recover, to renew. When you rest, rest fully. When you work, work fully. When you spend time with people, be fully present. Stop half-living in every area. Go all in on whatever you choose to do. When you live like this, you stop feeling overwhelmed. You stop chasing other people's standards. You stop comparing your path to theirs. You no longer need validation because you're driven by your own mission. Purpose also demands full responsibility. No more blaming circumstances. No more waiting for someone else to create the life you want. You wake up and declare, "This is my life. I am accountable for what happens here." That kind of thinking changes everything. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for the right time. You act now. You build now. You move now. You take control now. Without purpose, you will default back to convenience. You'll drift into patterns that steal from you, wasting precious time on habits that give you nothing in return. You'll fill your days with comfort instead of growth. You'll live for survival instead of building something meaningful. But you are not here to merely survive. You are here to grow. You are here to lead. You are here to leave something behind that carries real weight, something you can be proud of when your time runs out. This kind of life doesn't build itself. It is built with disciplined purpose every single day. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about being honest with yourself, constantly assessing where you're slipping, where you're improving, and where you need to push harder. When you live this way, your nights feel different. You rest knowing you gave your best effort. You carry peace. Not the kind that comes from comfort, but the kind that comes from discipline, clarity, and integrity. You don't need perfect conditions to live with purpose. You only need to decide that your life matters enough to take it seriously. You only need to choose what matters most, and then act like it matters. Purpose isn't about massive breakthrough. That's every day. It's about stringing together small acts of intention, waking up with discipline, focusing your energy, guarding your mind from distractions, honoring your commitments, leading yourself with integrity. When you do this long enough, it becomes who you are. It becomes your identity. And your identity shapes every future result you create. Every morning, ask yourself, who am I becoming today? What truly matters right now? Let those questions sharpen your focus. Let them challenge your distractions. Let them build the life you were meant to live. Because in the end, it's not the trophies, the recognition, or the applause that matter most. It's whether you lived every single day like it counted. Whether you showed up fully, whether you led yourself when nobody else was watching, whether you honored the limited time you were given. That is how legacy is built. That is how strength is built. That is how a life of meaning is built. Live with purpose. Not just when it's easy, not just when it feels inspiring, but every single day. On the quiet days, on the difficult days, on the days no one sees your effort. Because that's when inner strength is truly forged. That's how you rise above the noise. That's how you build a life worth living.